All right, so let's pick up where we left off yesterday. Where we left off was in talking about the different settings. Place a lot of emphasis on the settings because the settings themselves reflect a lot of what the conversations can be like. So if you're not comfortable being in a training setting to show things, then it's going to be a different experience because material needs to be shown first. And oftentimes the setting itself, first one is more of a showing, a telling. Let me give you, and then of course, very interactive. The setting number 2 and 3 are more discussional, and 4 is certainly, hey, how are we doing? Is behavior changing? Am I seeing the difference? Give me some feedback. Let me give you some feedback. All right, you guys had a night to think about a little bit of this.
I think the setting makes all the difference.
I think it makes sense as well because you're more or less showing them first and then kind of working with them through the process of it. All in all, we're tracking them to see how they're doing with what we showed them.
Let's move on to the second element, the adult learning model. The setting is important, and then now we need to talk about our audience. And oftentimes we overlook this or we downplay it. Adults learn better in these ways. Take a look at these figures. Adults learn better if they taste, 1.5% if they touch, 3.5% if they smell, 11% if they hear it, and 83% if they see it. So yeah, it does help. If you want to bring it to 84%, have cookies to get it to 84%. If you want to help them improve more, have them something to touch. And then 11% hearing is not just hearing the other person talk, but it's hearing yourself talk. Now look over on the right-hand side. An adult learns better if they read it, if they hear it, if they see it, if they see and hear, if they see us do what we say, and 90% if we act it out. Okay, in other words, if we practice it or if we model it, or if we say, okay, let's break off into an exercise and let's do it together. Oftentimes, I want y'all to notice how much the difference exists between just hearing something, seeing it, and then seeing it and hearing it, and then they see us do what we say, and then we do it together. You know, we act it out. All right, let me give you a couple of more, some more. If you tell alone, like if I tell you to do something or I show you how to do something, 3 hours later, there's going to be about a 70% recall. But 10 days later, that drops to 10%. Okay, that right there should make you very cognizant of how much information goes out of the mind and folks forget things, me included. If I show you alone, I show you how to do something, it's a little higher recall 3 hours later, 20% increases after 3 days. But if I tell you and I show you, okay, in other words, I'm modeling it with you, I show you how to do it, the recall increases dramatically, 85% recall, and then 3 days later, you still have a 65% recall. But because what's interesting is that if the psychology is correct about this, people will remember what you did. They won't remember everything you said, but they'll remember that you did it, and they can keep up with, let's see, I think she did this. I think she told me to do that. I think because they remember the actions, because the outward showing of it is what sticks. The words don't stick as much. And yet when people get in trouble or we're having to coach them, we often refer back to, well, I told you. Remember when I said, and the answer should be is no, I don't remember when you said it. And that usually becomes the issue, is that you didn't say that. Yes, you did. No, you did. But remember that, and so we depend so much on what we say that we forget that in order for me to help you capture it, I have to show you, and we have to do it together. All right, let's look at some of these. Now, these are things that it's clear the difference between left, right, and left and right learning. Look at all the different things that a left brain individual looks for. They look for thoughts, logic, words, numbers, structure, monotone, cognitive, task-orientedness, short-term memory, a table of contents, in other words, in orderliness. Think about future, think about the past, help them connect things. But the right brain person, they want to know that they learn better if there's good feelings, good emotions, there's gut discussions, there's a lot of visuals, there's pictures, there's no boundaries. We can talk about anything. It's effective. It's very relevant. It's process oriented, and it impacts relationships. It talks about big picture. I mean, do y'all see the difference here? Okay, so if you're a left brain instructor or you're a left brain coach and your employee is a right brain person, you've got problems if you approach the learning or what you're trying to tell them in a left brain approach. Likewise, is the opposite. If you're a right brain supervisor, your employee's left brain, and you approach things from a right brain, then you are going to cause the person not to catch it as much. Remember that subconsciously, especially employees, what they're wanting to know is, do I belong? Am I being respected? Am I being liked? Am I safe? Am I going to succeed through this? And will this help me feed my social friendship factor? And then will this inspire me to be better? All right. Subconsciously, no one's going to tell you that, but you have to assume it from everybody. They want to belong. They want to be respected. They want to be liked. Okay. And so you have to show this. It's not just telling them, look, I really am glad you're here. Although it does help to say it. Oftentimes the words are what matters. So saying things is not, I'm not discouraging anybody from saying things. Say things. You have to say it. You have to express it, but you have to tie in the showing of it and then the repeating factor. This, I'm not going to read it all, but the principles of adult learning. Let me go through it. I'm not going to go through the right side. These are really important to understand how adults learn better. They learn by doing. Hit as many of the five senses as possible. They learn when they're ready to. And by that is there's prepping. Look, we're going to meet next week on Tuesday. We're going to meet next Friday. I'm going to go over this with you on Thursday of next week. Get them ready for it. Help them, you know, if it's a very sudden, if you don't have an orderliness behind it, it's not easy for them to get ready for it. The primary thing is that there has to be connections made between you and the person. Don't try to cover so many things at one time. I made sure not to try to fit in 6 hours worth of material in this. So it's better to do one thing at a time, fewer things at a time, to follow up on it, review, all right? And then the importance of checking results is because people learn more rapidly when results are satisfying. And if you're not giving me the results, I need to tell you that and then tell you, look, we got to practice this some more. We got to practice this more. They have to understand what we learned. In a minute, we'll talk about how to make sure that that's happening. And then you have to build practice into it. And always keep in mind, number 9 is different audiences, different tactics, different personalities, different approaches, different learning styles. Keep these in mind as you're coaching and you're mentoring your employees. So to apply this, build chunks of time. Don't try to cover everything at once. You know, for the first month, I'm going to show you this. For the second month, I'm going to show you this. Show pictures. Notice how much this is something I do a lot. I do a lot of, even though there's a lot of reading, I show things. I overuse PowerPoint. I make sure that there's pictures attached to what I say, because if you don't like the pictures, it's all right. I'll give you the words. But if you like pictures, I'm going to put a lot of pictures up. Consistently review, use repetition, create unexpected, but don't create tension. In other words, you want to do things like, so, all right, so let me, you know, I just thought of something. Create unexpected, but that can't be the norm. Folks that are more left brain don't like that. That's like all of a sudden, but every once in a while, it's good to pepper that in the conversations, but don't create the tension. All of a sudden, don't catch them by surprise. Now, the extroverts like to be caught by surprise, so you have a little more freedom to do that if you're dealing with a right brain person. And let them know up front on number 6 that you're going to challenge them throughout the entire process. Look, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to ask you some questions. I got to drill you. But you're not trying to embarrass them. You're not trying to frustrate them. You're not trying to choke them. Number 7, what that refers to is create moments of outstanding facilitation. Whether it's a sit down, whether it's a training, whether it's a one-on-one, facilitate it well. And remember what I mentioned to you, the number 1 rule of facilitating well, it's interaction. Don't start talking as opposed to start listening. So one of the best tactics is to say something like this. Okay, so Lori, today we're going to cover how to save the files up to the intranet. But before we do that, give me your thoughts on it. Have you been on the intranet yet? You have. Okay, what did you think about it? Is it organized? Is it not? Get them to talk. Get them to tell you things. Get them to express. When they express something, when they say things like, well, yeah, I went on there and it is quite confusing. I was able to get around on it, but I liked it. Did you go see the training section? You know, I couldn't find the training section. Okay, well, no, I'll show it to you. I said, so number 1, you thought it was confusing. Was the login a problem? Yeah, I tell you, that password issue was really tough. Okay, great. All right, well, we'll look at that. See, 3 minutes of interacting about the internet. I got you to talk. Now I'm going to share with you things. But if you don't facilitate a discussion, it just becomes a college lecture. And that way you also fulfill number 8, which is keep them involved. All right, a couple of rules here. Make sure you don't do segments more than 90 minutes. Make sure that in those 90 minutes, if somebody was clocking you, there has to be a good 20-minute discussion throughout it. And then 8 minutes should be of them interacting with each other more than with you. And then the 3M method is your goal is to help them master it, marinate in it, and then commit things to memory. That's why I normally ask, so tell me your biggest takeaway. What have you guys learned so far? And if you want things to really stick in people's brain, ask them that question so that they have to think, all right, let's see, what did I like? What did I like? What did I like? All right. You know what stuck to me about the adult learning model, Maurice? That we learn in chunks. See, when they say that, Maurice, when you just said that they learn in chunks, that really stuck with me. Man, I don't remember saying that, but it stuck with you. And if you happen to be coaching 2 people at the same time, it's amazing how what one person says sticks with the other because you're helping them marinate in it. Again, this is just a fancy way of saying review, review, review. But I want you guys to notice what the qualities are that learners love. What do they like? What do they dislike? And the environment that they enjoy. Okay. And then ask yourself, isn't that true of me? Of course it is. Take a look at this. All right. So before we go to number 3, thoughts, comments, questions, what's stuck about the adult learning model?
I would just say it's important to coach to your personality of the person that you're coaching. We talked about different personalities, and I think it's important to coach to that person's personality and how you've learned that they've learned or how they learn better. Because you do have those staff that you can say, blah, 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 do this, do that. Then you have those staff that you do have to sit down and explain, show them visually, have them do it while you're sitting next to them. Because I learn that way. I'm very much a hands-on kind of person.
Very, very true. Can I use your comments as a segue to number 3? Because I think it'd be good to show it right here. Look at this.
Hey, everybody. Great job making it through this course. I look forward to hearing from you. Do not hesitate to contact me, contact one of the other coaches. Use the system to interact with us, to message us, and take advantage of the time that you have with us. Having said that, let's get moving to the next levels. Good luck. And again, honored to help you.